Okay, I've disassembled the receiver, and now we'll be assembling it as I put all the pieces in. This pin right here, for the little pivot, you need to drill a hole right here for it to drop through, and you got to drill through a little bit of the trunnion so when it drops, it stays flush. This right here locks it in place on the inside. The way you measure for it is the length of this, as you can see, that doesn't line up with this edge right here. It actually lines up with the shelf in there. That's what you're using to measure off of. So as it drops in, it'll bottom out, you'll see in a minute, on that shelf. Now, the funnel is held in place by the pin in the back and by a screw and nut at the front. So the way you go is, how you measure for where to drill this horizontally is based on this handguard that's going to go in. The depth of it is measured by this bottoming out on that shelf, and the width of it, exactly where to place it in relation to the edge of this receiver, is measured by that right there, if you have a model 433 saiga. This is the plunger. My gun already came with the plunger for the folding stock, and you measure using that, and that's how it goes. So you put this through. I had to trim mine a little bit so it would operate smoothly. You put it in, cloth facing forward. The hole I had to cut is the edge of the hole ends right below that second rivet, and the A for saiga is the edge of that one. Drop the pin in. And take a set of pliers. And lock that in place. So like I said, this is where it's got to bottom out. So as you're measuring on how far to cut it, you use this little plastic tab to measure. Then you put this back in place. Kind of a pain in the butt. It's not too tight, but there you go. That'll let you put your handguard back on. And when you put the handguard on, drop it in, line up the plunger, slowly work its way. There you go. Turn that around, drop it on. Make sure that works smoothly. If it doesn't, pull it out and do it again. It just needs a little bit of travel. Then drop your piston in. Drop that on, like you would for any other AK. At this point, you need to check it to make sure it locks. And then you can depress this button, which you see what that does is it pushes this back. So it locks, depresses. And if for some reason you need to trim a little bit or there, or you need to open up the little slot so that it has full movement, that's where you would go before assembling the rest of the gun. Mine is good, so I'll drop this on. See, mine's already slotted for the factory side folder. So if you got the model 433 like I got, shouldn't be a problem. If you got the older model saiga 12s, they'll still work. Just, you'll have to take measurements and based off your parts. Once you get to a certain depth, then you'll need a really, really thin screwdriver. Same one I used to pull this out. And you'll continue. Screwing this down. Until it's tight. Check fitment. Magazine. Alright, there's a little groove the spring goes into. Use that to kind of hold everything in place. And chase the other pin out of there. Alright, this is the Russian camera, and by comparison, this is the American one. Now you're going to have to shorten them on here. You're going to have to cut this flat, just like this is. And you have to follow the exact profile on the right side of the hammer. Don't touch the left side. The left sides are good as is. And on this trigger, you're gonna have to cut this extra hook off. Make sure it works with the receiver. Then you're gonna have to cut the back of the sear off so the safety can rotate freely through. So, take this hammer, put it in like this so that the curved part rests against this empty space. Then you wind it back and you drop it in. Grab a pin and push it through. Line up all the holes. And don't forget to line up the last round bolt hold open, because it pivots on the hammer. Then take the trigger, take the little spring out of the back. If you lose it, there it goes. Grab one out of a mechanical pen. They're the same thing. Put it in a little dimple.
Pushing.
and through. And take the needle nose. And set each leg of the spring on the back of the trigger right there. Now the last piece is, take that spring that you had, it was a long piece of wire with the spring on it, and you cut off all but one coil. You don't need that extra spring on there. And you make a 90. The way you measure is the hole with the safety right there. It's gonna go over the trigger pin and under the hammer pin, and is gonna be under tension when you put the safety on. And this, there's a groove in each of those pins, will keep these pins from walking out as you fire the gun. So, over one, under the other. Sometimes it helps you get that out of the way. So you go under the hammer pin that is, and then over the trigger pin. You drop it in place. Right around there. Right under the rail. Then as you put the safety in, you have to replace that. As you're putting the safety in, you push it through. You find that little eyelet with the tip of the safety thing, you guide it through. You line up the safety hole. There you go. Safety's in all the way. You pull the trigger so that it clears the sear. And then you let go of the trigger and follow the safety through all the way down. So you lock the hammer back to test it. Pull it. Pull out of the way, go. Let go. Pull it again. Let go. And there you go. Do the miniature function test to make sure it works. After which, you assemble the rest of the shotgun. Make sure your safety and your sear and everything works and works smoothly. And there you have it. It was a little crude, but you can learn from my mistakes, and hopefully you learn how to do it. And hopefully it was a simple process. It'll take you at least one evening to do.